What's going on, Star Wars fans?
Hello there.
I'm excited about tonight. We are joined by fellow Star Wars fan who lives right at the intersection of lore, theories, and collecting. You may know him as Clan Brandalorian, a creator who built a community around meaningful conversations, not just hot takes. From deep dives into Star Wars lore to showcasing Funko and Lego as pieces of storytelling, he represents the kind of fandom that keeps this galaxy alive. So let's welcome Brandon from Clan Brandalorian. What's going on, man?
How's it going, man? That intro was clean. Yeah,
Nice.
I know you're talking about it before the stream, but man, that was great. I love it. That's awesome.
No, dude, you're killing it. I love watching all your stuff. Like I said, with the Legos and the Funko. I just saw the Funko stuff that you just dropped today. So I'm super excited about that stuff. That's gonna be it's a and I'm sure you're probably in the same situation. It's a catch-22 because it's like I want to get all of them, but they just keep freaking coming out, and they just keep coming out with cool ones. I did an episode on the deleted scenes one, because I've been trying to reduce the collection a little bit and get into more of the classic stuff, the 70s and 80s, which I have a bunch of, but just sort of build that because they're just with Mandalorian and Ahsoka and everything. There's just so much more collectibles coming out. So, which I'm sure you feel that.
Yeah, there's a lot, man. And I mean, especially with what Funko's going through right now, 14% drop last year. With the new CEO, they gotta pump out new and better items now. And especially for Star Wars, I mean, we're getting a lot of new stuff. So I'm excited, but at the same time, the wife and I, the room kind of looks weird. If anyone knows what the room looks like, it's we're currently remodeling, kind of rearranging the room a little bit. So a lot of the Funko is now everything over here, and Lego is here and there and everywhere. I mean, you understand, you get it. So I'm glad I can talk to you about it. But yeah, it's we're really going through, and like I said, the wife and I were talking. I'm like, man, we might have to just start doing the must-haves now. It's it's not the wants anymore. It's going to be the needs. And there's a lot of commons in my collection. I won't lie. I have probably a handful of grails, but at the same time, with the new ones coming out, we're really gonna have to kind of go forward and see which ones are worth getting. Same with Lego. I mean, you run out of room. Ultimately, you do.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I do not do is Legos, because I would have them all and I'd probably be broke. And it's just that and the gaming. I don't do the gaming. Now I'll watch the storytelling of it. But I, like the Jedi Survivor and stuff like that, on Force Unleashed, all those things, I'll watch the gameplay. But I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be sitting there on the game somewhere doing something, eating Cheetos,
oh, yeah.
Drinking soda. So those are the two things I don't do. Everything else, yeah. And Funko has become, which is crazy to me that they took a drop, because I mean, there's just so much stuff out there. You always see it advertised. I mean, everybody has them, which is crazy. But I'm glad they're getting back into a little bit more, and hopefully this new CEO will help out and definitely get some new Star Wars stuff with everything that's coming out next year and in 2027 for sure.
Absolutely.
So let's I'm gonna start doing a little interview for you. So I want to know how'd you get into Star Wars? What was the first thing you saw? Who'd you see it with? And then just give me a little background of your Star Wars history.
Well, I mean, I was born in 97, so I was right there on the cusp of Phantom Menace. I mean, growing up, I know I watched a lot of Star Wars, but this was the first movie I actually went to the cinema for. But of course, I do not remember it. I was only 2.5 years old. So that was my first movie. That's always cool to say. But Attack of the Clones, when that came out in 2002, I remember bits and pieces. Geonosis for sure. I remember Dooku at the end, the fight scene, of course. But those are really the only two things, other than the Coruscant chase, with the Zam Wessel, Jango Fett, all that. So remember a little bit of that, but then Revenge of the Sith, man. Oh my goodness. 8 years old, seeing that. Oh man, summer of 2005. It was a good time. That one was really good because I remembered every single piece of it. And man, I mean, even to this day, I still think that's just, my favorite movie of all time. I mean, there's so many great movies out there, but Revenge of the Sith, I mean, especially as a child, I really gravitated towards it. But I mean, like, just where it all started was, I mean, my dad, my grandma, they're nerds in themselves. They love, everything intergalactic, Star Wars especially. I feel like, there's always the Star Treks, the Star Wars, kind of back and forth. But I mean, at the same time, I mean, yeah, it was just so nerdy space stuff, growing up. So Star Wars fit right in, I mean, I can't forget Steven Spielberg as well. I mean, so many good things. But yeah, it's just growing up with the parents that I had. So that's kind of what got me into Star Wars. So that's what
did you collect back then as well? Did you start getting figures and toys and stuff a little bit when you were a kid?
Yeah, so a lot of the Hasbro Revenge of the Sith line, those were, oh, dude, I had every single one. That Christmas of '05 was something else, man. And that's crazy. That's 20 years ago. I got a huge box, like a massive, like freight box.
That's
and
awesome.
once I opened it up, it was all the characters, every single one from that line. It was just something else. And I remember, a couple of years later, my dad telling me that those were on sale at Kmart for like $2.97 a piece. So they were able to just scrounge everything. But unfortunately, as I got older, those got lost in with a family member as they moved. And of course, it hurts. I don't have those anymore. It'd be great to, toss in some of the old with the new. But yeah, it wasn't more of collecting. I just happened to had a bunch at the time. So it kind of seemed like a little form of collecting, but it wasn't on purpose. It wasn't intentional. But yeah, so definitely as an adult now, I can kind of, things that get gifted, things I go out and buy. I mean, now I'm able to really go forward and do everything on purpose.
Nice. So when did Star Wars stop being a hobby, and when did you start becoming, a little bit more wanted to build like your own brand and stuff like that you have now?
Man, I mean, there's so many things that go into it. I mean, I watched the Megs, the theories, like I was really into all of them. Just kind of like after 2019, like when the Mandalorian came out, I wanted to see what YouTubers were saying with Star Wars. And I feel like, I had a lot of the same ideas, a lot of things I agreed with. But at the same time, Star Wars is not perfect, and I understand that, but to me, I love it. It's perfect in my eyes, but I understand its flaws. I mean, there's every single movie, every single series, they all have their thing. But I just felt like, like after the sequel era, I mean, seeing The Rise of Skywalker, getting on Twitter the next day, I was just like, I mean, the movie wasn't perfect, but I mean, man, this is getting shit on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I was just like, a couple of years, I kind of want to slowly kind of get into it. And plus at the time, like I was working I wanted to really make music. So like I was practicing making beats and stuff like that, trying to like learn music on my own. And of course that kind of fell off. So I was just like, I still have all this equipment that I can still use.
Nice.
And, I always blame my wife too. My wife and the Mandalorian are the two problems here. Good problems, I'd say.
Right.
So Mandalorian coming back out, it kind of rejuvenated my love for Star Wars again, because it was just the lone wolf and cub. I mean, we see it all the time in cinema and especially TV series these days. That version, that genre in Star Wars pulled me in. I was just like, man, I love this. I feel for the character of Grogu, Mando, Din Djarin, and just understanding that Mandalorian culture. I was just like, man, this is awesome. So I kind of was just like, let me put my opinions out there. I always try to strive to be positive in anything that I do. I always try to see both sides of the things, other people's decision making, and even myself. So I was like, you know what? I mean, this could, grow organically, but let's see what happens, So I was just like, man, I feel like I know just as much as anyone else in the Star Wars universe. So, let me try, let me learn how to edit videos and talk to a camera and, collab with other, great content creators like yourself and great fans at the end of the day, like we sit behind these screens and have fun with it, or we should have fun with it. But at the same time, we're all fans. And that's what I really love, is just the fan aspect, and understand that like there's some people out there that kind of care what I say and like what I strive for. Tons of tons of people, DM me and they're like, the Book of Boba Fett really wasn't that bad. And I'm just like, yeah, I mean, there's great things in it, but it wasn't the best, but I mean, it's okay to like things. And that's kind of what my channel is, it's like, it's okay to like things, just as much as it's okay to not like things. So just simple stuff like that, really.
Yeah, well, and that's what we're all about too. And I know you've seen it a few times, but I mean, it's all positive stuff. We're not bashing anything. I mean, everybody that I've had on, and I probably speak for yourself as well, but I mean, everything that's come out, I mean, I've been very pleased with. Now,
Yeah.
Some people know that the sequels for me were it was a little sketchy at first, and I was like, okay, the cinematography was great. Beautiful. The Easter eggs were freaking awesome. There was some things, that had some problems with, and I've talked about before, but as we continue, sort of like what Clone Wars did for the movies, some of these books for me have done that for the sequels. Shadow of the Sith, if you haven't read that yet, it's a great book for people that aren't real big fans of the sequels, because I was like, okay, there's some cool things in here, but I would have gone a different way, some of the things. But as I start to get a little bit more into some of the depth and some of the stuff that they're bringing out in canon, luckily they're starting to tie some things into that sequence of movies, the sequels. And so that helps me, get a little bit more of a feeling and like it, and even start to love it even a little bit more, because again, I thought Acolyte was fantastic. Book of Boba Fett was amazing. Yeah, sure, I would have loved to seen, Dangar or Bosk instead of the kids in the little green and red bikes, but I mean, it is what it is. You're not going to change it. We have to enjoy what they've put in front of us, and they've been putting a lot of stuff in front of us. People talk about, season 3 of Mandalorian. I thought it was fantastic. Same with Kenobi's my favorite live action. I thought that was, for me, that was just spot on. I thought they did a great job. I thought it was really cool that they brought in Leia instead of Luke, because I think we all thought, oh, okay, we're going to have a little bit of Luke, which we had a little bit, but for them to use Leia in there, I just thought that was fantastic. I thought she did a great job. Obviously, Ewan did a great job, but the whole thing just leading up to the fight, you have to have that protagonist, in Reva. People were bitching and complaining about that, but you know what? That was a great story. We got to see more of Order 66, which I love to see, all these little different perspectives of Order 66, which is great, whether it's in the cartoons or, the animation, or in the movies or the live action. It's just a little bit more of Order 66 that we get. Is just, I think that's fantastic, because we get to see it from different views. When Kelleran Beck came out and saved Grogu, that was just awesome.
Yes.
It was so cool. But yeah, I mean, it's all positive stuff. There's enough junk out there and hate out there that we're not bringing it to the table. I know you're not bringing it to the table, and it's fun to talk about. Like you said, my surge was sort of during the prequels, because I grew up with it in the 70s and 80s, and then I got to high school, and we didn't have anything for like 16 years, and it really wasn't cool, when you're in high school talking about Star Wars. People are like, okay. So, but as 80 or 90, 98 and 99 started rolling around, I was like, oh, this is gonna be awesome, because I was still a fan. And then that's sort of when it took off for me. And as I just started, again, all those figures you're talking about, luckily I still have them in their packaging, which is cool, because that was the stuff that was coming out, and I was an adult then, and I was able to buy my own things, and start a cool collection and just keep going. And that's the thing, which I think has been fantastic, is everything that they've put out is just a little bit, there's enough there for everybody. And with Mandalorian and Grogu, I mean, they just knocked it out of the park. I mean, you got this little baby Yoda, at the beginning, who we all know is Grogu now, but you have this like gunslinger type space thing. It was just, they just did a great job. And I think Dave and John have continued to kill it with everything else that they've been bringing out.
Yeah, I mean, it has its own timeline. I mean, we got Boba Fett, Ahsoka, the Mandalorian, Skeleton Crew now, and it's just like, what else can there be? I mean, we're bringing in characters like Thrawn, Boba Fett, just simply Boba Fett. He's the most mysterious character, that back in your time, even, this is a character I know everyone was like, man, this guy is awesome. And he's only said 2 words, So him to finally get his own show and stuff like that, and understand that he's a big player in the Mandalorian, Din Djarin's story and Grogu's story. It's just insane. One thing I did want to touch on, what you said, was the Order 66 scenes. Now, that's something I also see a lot of banter about online, which, it's like, I have Order 66 fatigue. And it's like, that's a big moment in Star Wars. Like, that's one of the biggest catastrophes, if not the biggest. The entire Jedi Order is wiped out in like 3 hours. Like, this is insane. So seeing different POVs is awesome. Seeing Reva as a child, Keller and Beck. We get to see George Lucas's son in real life in Episode 3, the Jedi that he plays, Jet something, or is that his name?
Like that, yeah.
Like, even seeing that little, side piece with Bail Organa, like understanding that there are different POVs to this with the Jedi, just all of those little things. It's just incredible. So I'm hoping that sometime we see another one. I mean, what's Baylan Skoll's background? Can we see maybe his Order 66 time? I mean, I don't know, man.
I'm hoping for that, because I think that could be a big thing, because he knows who Anakin was, which is a big deal. So I think that could be that would be a cool flashback, I think, in Ahsoka season 2. Just and that's what we talk about sometimes, where they always, at some point, they explain just about everything, which is cool. At some point, we're going to get the answer for these questions that we all have, different things like that. Hopefully we'll get something to the point where why Luke is such a hermit and doesn't give a shit about the Force anymore and throws his lightsaber when Rey gives it to him. That was one of my big things. I was like, all right, I don't remember this guy. So what happened to him? Why is he like this? Something, obviously, besides the whole Kylo Ren and the Jedi, that wouldn't have pushed him, I don't think, that far. As strong as of a Jedi as he was, that wouldn't have pushed him away, I don't think. I think there's still some more background that we're gonna hopefully hear about, or even the comic books. They're in canon now, which is cool, because my son's been reading the Darth Vader one with Kylo Ren.
Oh, they're so good.
It's so good. He tells me it's this and that, and I'm like, I gotta read it, just so. But it's just such a great job that they're continuing to do, which I really like. And like you were saying, that some of the hate for some of these things, but I mean, Order 66 is a big turning point. It's just like Jar Jar Binks. People gave him a bunch of shit, or this or that, or he's goofy. Sure, he's goofy. There's a little bit of, you gotta, satisfy the 8-year-olds and the 13-year-olds in the audience. But Jar Jar is a huge cog in this wheel. Palpatine would not be where he is without Jar Jar Binks. He's the one that presents it to the council. So all these things that people talk about, even like the Acolyte, with the Jedi that they were bitching about his age,
Ki-Adi-Mundi.
Yeah, Ki-Adi-Mundi. It's like, who cares? It's a little bit of an age difference. If that's gonna ruin your whole idea of this whole great series, it's like, man, you don't have to hate on it so much. If you didn't like it, it's okay. There was some things in there that weren't perfect, but it was a great series, and it would have been great to have a season 2 and see Plagueis and the Stranger again, and just see how that would have turned out.
That's my thing. Is it's like, so everybody automatically, for some weird reason, knows Ki-Adi-Mundi's birthday just before the show started. Like that was one of the things, because I love, and it's probably a terrible thing, but I love to see what Twitter's saying about a new show, about Welcome to Derry, Stranger Things, all the new stuff that's coming out, especially Star Wars. I want to know what everyone's talking about. But my big thing was, it's like, Ki-Adi-Mundi, cool. Like, if me personally, if that kind of screwed you out of the Acolyte, I think that's a little nitpick. That's a really small, corner to reach for. I mean, characters like, Plagueis, like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Seeing him in live action, like, this is the guy in Revenge of the Sith that Palpatine was telling Anakin, and this was a huge moment. I mean, it gives you goosebumps, even
Yeah.
talking about it. Like
Yeah.
Darth Plagueis the Wise, and we finally see him creeping around a corner, which was just executed so perfectly, in my opinion. I mean, it was just beautiful. I'll never forget looking over at my brother, and he just had his jaw dropped. He's like, "That is who it is. That's Plagueis." I'm like, "Oh my," and I don't think we paused it after that moment, but there was another scene in the Acolyte where we paused it and we're like, "Did that just happen?" So like it was really fun, and it was obvious. You look at shows like The Walking Dead, Breaking Bad. I mean, they have slow starts to their season ones. This is season one of a show, and I mean, the season two was so clear as day that this was leading up to Chimere, Plagueis, maybe May. Kind of whether they extend her character on or not. It was just like we know what's going to happen, especially with Leslie Headland coming out and saying that Chimere was set up to be the first Ren.
Exactly.
So it's just like, okay, whoa. We're connecting something, 100 years before the Phantom Menace, and then something, 50 years down the line. I mean, we're almost connecting 200 years worth of content here. I mean, the Ren, everyone talked about how the Knights of Ren were underused, but then I understand that Snoke sent them away on purpose, and that's why you don't see them a lot. So it's just like, this is where we get this backstory. And that's the thing with Star Wars. Even you mentioned it, is, there we'll still understand that story maybe later down the line. I mean, they're still going to make so many series, coming out, books, comics. But I mean, it's just like back in the original trilogy, especially. And I hope I'm kind of right here because you lived through it. It's just like, why is Darth Vader have this rage, this anger, this fear, And you see the Phantom Menace and you're like, where's this fear? Where's this anger? Why does he become this evil, Lord of the Sith? And then episode 2 rolls around and you're like, oh, okay, that would make me angry too. And that would, make me furious. And then you see episode 3 and you're like, wow, I just had to wait, 20 years to get that. But yeah, I mean, like you said, maybe we got to wait a little bit to understand why Luke throws the lightsaber over his shoulder. It's always a fun thing to talk about, but it's just one of those things. You got to let Star Wars marinate a little bit,
Exactly.
Hating on something right away is just kind of, I don't know. It's like, do you like Star Wars or do you like hating on it?
Right. Well, and I think that's part of it sometimes too, is you're going to get more people watching the hate stuff, unfortunately, than the good stuff and, fun things like we're talking about, all the good things and everything that happened in it, like you said, that the whole time for me with that whole Boba Fett, I mean, I waited since 1980, 83. Yeah, 1983, to see him stick his hand out of that sand and crawl out of the Sarlacc pit. I mean, it was so awesome for me to see that, and then to see him and what he did. That he went with the Tuscans and he got tortured for a little bit, but then he found his way and was able to become like a family with them and learn their ways and help them, and they helped him, and and then see what he became, and then come into the Mandalorian, universe, which is so cool with Fennec Shen and and then just all these things that they're bringing in and luckily bringing from Legends, like you said, with Thrawn, and bringing them into canon. And now we have such a freaking awesome bad guy that's may pop up in Mandalorian and Grogu, definitely going to be there in Ahsoka season 2, and then some, so it's just it's just such a, like we always say, it's such a great time to be a Star Wars fan, which it is right now.
It is.
So I got something else here for you. What's let's see which one. Lore, theory, and collecting. If you had to strip Clan Brandalorian down to its core, what part matters most to you personally?
If I didn't collect as much, I'd have a lot more money. I would have a lot more space. I feel like that's kind of, I forgot to mention earlier. I really wanted to, outside of getting my opinion out there, I really wanted to get my Lego collection out there. I always wanted to show off, I mean,
Mhm.
it takes a lot to obtain a lot of these things, so it's like, let me show these off. Let me flex these a little bit. Um, so I don't think I can strip the collecting. I mean, there's something about it, going to the store, going online, ordering, it's beautiful. Um, so if I was a strip, it's going to be the lore of the theories. I always joke around with the theories. I'm like 2 for 1,091. I'm wrong literally 99% of the time. But the lore, man, it's rich. It's really part of the Star Wars culture. No matter where you're at, anti Disney, pro George Lucas, pro Legends, the EU. It's there's so many realms where you just can't knock the lore. So I think I might have to strip the theories. If I could do lore, Funko, and Lego, I think I'd be able to sleep at night.
Okay. All right. Well, and that's perfect for the next one. So, um, what's a Star Wars opinion you hold that a lot of people would push back on?
Oh, I think for me, it's kind of like more so like a little hot take. I would probably say, and this might be a little crazy, but right now, today, and I've been thinking this a lot since this summer, Chimere could have the potential to be a top 5 character in all of Star Wars. Now, I really do think I can stand with that even to this day, and I've felt some type of way ever since seeing him in that armor, that cloak, in the Acolyte last summer. So the helmet came out day one. That was kind of really the only thing you could collect from him until Disney just dropped his lightsaber just I think last month. We still have a Funko Pop, but it's him as Chimere, the little
Yeah.
shop rat. He's not
Mhm.
the stranger, the one that
Yeah.
we want. But I'm also a huge horror fan as well, so I really love the way Chimere looks and how he acts. It's very menacing. It's very slasher-esque. And, of course, I mean, he took down like 9 Jedi, so this dude's ruthless.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that potential there, I've told a couple friends this before, like Chimere's like, if once that story gets continued, he would for sure be a top 5 character. So I mean, I've definitely got some pushback on that, back against the wall. It's me against the world. But yeah, I mean, I could easily say that Chimere is a top 5 character. The
That's cool.
potential to.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, I agree with you. Ahsoka has, as old as I am, and Ahsoka has just been around for, a little bit of time, technically for as much as I've, been around watching this stuff, but she's one of my top 5. I think, they brought her in, and the character development that they've done with her is fantastic. And I know a lot of people do like her, but I agree with you with bringing the cortosis in with the helmet and and the wristband, that again, coming from Legends and bringing it to canon, did such a freaking great job. So that's cool. I would agree. I wouldn't push back on that. I think Chimere is a fantastic character. Like you said, he just wiped the floor with those 7 or 9 Jedi,
Like
and
nothing.
just to see him and Vanessa Rose background, I want to know why. I would speculate why she whipped him, and
Yeah.
did she think he was dead? you know. So I think that there's a lot of story in that acolyte that hopefully we'll get at some point, through a comic, or I'd love live action, but I don't know if we're gonna get that at this point. But at least some comic book or some books or something like that. So
Yeah, I'm really pushing for at least what would be really cool is like a Tales of the Ren. Like I know
oh
I kind of made that theory over the summer, made it just a short, and I was really into the idea where we get 3 episodes of each character. Maybe we start with Chimere, and then we end it the last 3 episodes of Kylo Ren. Maybe the first episode we could see Chimere as a Jedi. Why Vernestra, who's his master? Why did she hurt him? Did he hurt someone and she was defending? Like that's a whole first episode right there. And then seeing him kind of in a Dooku way, wanting to go off and do his own thing, which could be the Ren. Plagueis sees him, and that's why he's looking at him like this guy could be a threat to what I'm building. And so it's just like it's all there. It's all there, but it just has to be fleshed out.
yeah.
But I mean, I don't think Disney especially Disney, is gonna sell his lightsaber at Disney World, and on the online merch. I mean, it's a $320 lightsaber. I mean, why would they push that? So it's for a reason. They'll do something.
Well, and I think the same thing with Mara Jade. I hope that we get to
Oh
see
yeah,
her. They started making her lightsaber, so hopefully, and those are the things too. Like we were talking about. Mike brought up the new, I think, Black series with Mando has a sword in it now.
yeah,
So and then we got that little trailer drop of that 13 seconds of him fighting all those creatures. So again, there's different things they're going to come up and be here. My thing is with Cal Kestis and Marin. I think that we could see them in Ahsoka season 2. I
oh
mean,
yeah,
they're going to Dothamir, and for them to pop those two in live action, we would all lose our minds. For me, it would be like Luke coming, in season 2 at the end to get Grogu. To see them, because those games are so huge right now, everybody's on board with Cal Kestis, so I think that would be, something that would be really cool for them to bring up, into that. So,
yeah, that'd be dope.
As a collector, what separates your meaningful pieces from your stuff on a shelf?
In my opinion, all of the stuff on the shelves are things that I buy, things that I get myself, things that mean the most to me, sets that are gifted to me, sets that I exchange with other Star Wars fans. But I mean, my wife and my mother-in-law, they have gotten me so much, over the years. And it's just been like we were talking the other day, maybe one day I could sell some of my Funko, but it's just like anything that your mom gets me, I cannot get rid of like that. Like it would sit in the closet before I got rid of it, or got money for it or anything like that. But yeah, that's kind of what separates it, is just kind of what's given to me. And it's this Fennec Shand Funko Pop, it was a shelf warmer at Walmart for months, but if my mother-in-law got that for me, or my wife got it for me, or my buddy Jacob got it for me, that would mean a lot to me.
Yeah.
There's kind of a funny story. I have one Funko Pop right up here, and black on top, and it's a Marvel Funko Pop, and I'm not a Marvel fan at all. But he is, and he's like, man, I know you're not a huge Marvel fan, but I figured you'd like this. And it's Rescue, so it's Iron Man's wife, and it's a blacklight Funko Pop. I know nothing about her, but it's nice. It's literally the centerpiece on the top of the Funko wall. And I always also joke with Marvel fans, like, hey, Rescue's the best character. Argue with the wall, man. So that's kind of my thing. But yeah, that's what separates it, man.
That's cool. Yeah. And that's the thing about it, collecting, whether it's for you or somebody else, gets it for you. And that's the hard thing with me. My wife's always like, who's getting all this shit? Does when you're gone, and I'm like, I don't know yet. It's just it's interesting, because again, there are so many pieces that, I mean, there's some pieces that I would never part with.
Yeah.
And they might only be a little figure that's, it might only be worth $5, but to me, it's priceless.
Yep.
I mean, I have a whole curio cabinet of Yoda. I mean, he's my favorite, so I have a whole thing of his, and there's probably not much in there that I would part with, whether I got it or somebody gave it to me or whatever. But yeah, there's so much stuff coming out now, which is crazy. Like we were talking about, besides the Funko and the Legos, all the Black series, and there's still more Hasbro stuff, and the revamps of the old, the retros that are coming out, and it's just crazy how much stuff. But obviously, people are buying it, and I think that's one of the reasons why Mandalorian and Grogu will do so well, because you're going to have so much merchandise, but you also have so many people that are watching Star Wars now because of Mandalorian and Grogu. They were like, it was okay. Star Wars was okay, or I never really watched Star Wars. But when they saw that, especially, that was a perfect time, fortunately or unfortunately, for COVID. Everybody was still sort of home and doing their own thing. And now we got to find something to watch. And this comes out, and it was fantastic, and it crushed. And so did season 2 and season 3. And then they started, oh, hey, we're doing something here, so let's keep going. And I think that, like we said before, they're just doing such a great job with everything that's coming out.
No, they really are. And that's the thing is it's like, especially in the Lego community, a lot of creators and fans are saying they're getting, Mando and Grogu fatigue. And I mean, I get it, but at the same time, it's like what's really cool about the Mandalorian and Grogu, these two as characters, is yeah, they sell a lot of merch. Is a infant version of Yoda gonna sell? Of course. I mean, you can look at, the neighbor Lisa down the street, never watched Star Wars in her life, but she's said Baby Yoda a million times because he's cute. Or cousin Tina, she doesn't watch it, or everyone knows. And it's funny, I got him right here. Everyone knows who this guy is. They
Mhm.
know whether they call him Yoda actually or not. They understand, what this character is. And on top of that, us as fans, he's a good character. He's fleshed out. I mean, we're understanding his backstory with the Jedi. We're learning a little bit about that. Going forward, he's now a Mandalorian apprentice, which is insane. It's like he's like the mirrored version of Tar Vizsla, which I hope we get a little bit of explanation with him, a little bit more backstory, and of course, just more screen time with Tar Vizsla because it just sounds awesome. I mean, Grogu is just that mirrored image, and then also Din Djarin. I mean, another fatigued character in Pedro Pascal. I mean, he's in everything.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's got the face, he's got the image, his acting is great. I mean, he's a force right now, and it's something cool to have in Star Wars. But on top of these characters, being merchandise sellers, they're also really good characters. So it's just a $2 at that time. You're getting great, merchandise, and then you're also getting great stories in a movie. So I mean, people who aren't even into Star Wars will be at the Mandalorian and Grogu. Like I am so excited to see what that first weekend is. And I mean, sometimes stats, I'm a sports guy as well, and stats, people want to be like, well, Kobe Bryant did this, LeBron James did this, Michael Jordan did this. And it's like, I get it, but you kind of got to look at, basketball as a whole and like what it is.
Right.
And it's kind of, that's how I look at the box office and like, how many tickets are sold. But I just don't see how this movie doesn't do well. I mean, it's just one of those things where it's going to go crazy.
Yeah. Well, like you said, your neighbor Lisa down the street and your cousin Tina, they're both going to the movie because they want to see Baby Grogu and they want to see this other guy. I mean, the same thing. I think I said this on one of our podcasts. I was out talking with some friends of ours, some lady that, wasn't a big Star Wars fan, but she was talking about how cute Grogu was and how cute Baby, and I'm like, she's going to go see it.
Yeah.
If it was anything else, if it was another Star Wars Starfighter, probably not going to go see, but everybody's going to go see Mandalorian and Grogu.
Yeah.
And I hope that if Mandalorian and Grogu does well enough that people will go see Starfighter and say, hey, you know what? This movie was really good. We got to go see this one. This should be, it's got Ryan Gosling in it. That's going to bring a bunch of the girls in anyways, to see that, that wouldn't go. How many, that I'm not going to go see Ryan Gosling's in it. Oh, okay. I'll go with you, honey. Which I mean, good on them. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of bringing in big, huge actors, as a main character, but I think they're going to do a good job. I think, I think you have a great director, you have a cool story, I think it'll tie in somehow, as much as they say it's not going to tie in here or there. We're going to have some tie-in. I mean, eventually it all ties together at some point, so I think it's not going to be, it'll be a standalone for a minute, but okay, Solo was a standalone, but it's so connected, same with Rogue One, they're all connected somehow, even if they're not part of, a trilogy or whatever, it's all going to be connected. There's going to be a character in there that, reverts back to something somewhere in the Star Wars universe.
Absolutely.
So, all right. The last serious question. What does success actually look like for your channel? Numbers, community, or something else?
Right now, I would have to go with it can't be the numbers, because if that's what I was really focused on, first off, I'm doing a terrible job, if we're going off numbers, so that I'm glad that's not my route I'm going. It's more so just wanting to the big successor to me would just be getting, people who seem like they can't enjoy Star Wars, because I feel like that's kind of what's going on right now. Is there's just a bunch of people, and it's flipping. Like, I mean, even the sequel love is starting to come back around, and it's just like the prequels. But at the same time, it's just like I want people to be like, you know what, I actually did enjoy that movie, or I like hanging out here. Like that's the big thing is there's probably like 5 people who really enjoy what I do, and they DM me. We respond I respond to them every day, and I don't really look at them as like my fans, and it's kind of hard to talk about these certain people, because it's just like they're more so my friends. And and it's cool when people are like, what's your opinion on this? Like, what do you think of this? Did you see this? It's like, that's cool. But I think the biggest success mark for me is just building more friends, more of a community. Like, so yeah, I'd have to go with the community part, man. It means a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm the same way. I mean, sure, I'd love to make a couple bucks on this.
It'd
I
be
mean, I'm
great.
not yet, but the community, and Mike's talked about this before, and I'm sure you're the same way. Most of my friends don't give a shit about Star Wars.
Yeah.
But I can come in here and me and you can talk for 40 minutes right now, and it feels like it went by like that.
Yeah.
Wednesday nights when we're on there for 2 hours, it's like, oh wow, we're already done. Mike's on there 6 hours a week, three podcasts a week, talking Star Wars for 2 hours each time.
Yeah.
And that's what he was talking about too, is just it's something that I can get on here, we can get on here and we can chat as the chat scrolls through, and people are asking questions or putting their comments in, and just different things like that, because everybody has their own opinion on it. And again, like we've talked about, and with Mike's show and your show and my show, it's all positive stuff. Nobody's in here bashing anything. It might not be my most favorite episode that comes out or something. I mean, I'm psyched about the Maul series.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's going to be a couple episodes I'll be like, oh, that was good. And then there's going to be some that was like, oh, that's why he did this then. Okay. I mean, and that's the cool thing about it, because then, you know what, we can get on Wednesdays, or me and you can get on and chat about it, in a DM or on something like this, and say, man, what did you think about that? Oh, I like this, but did you see that? This is how, it's just so cool for us to be able to have a positive energy about this whole universe that George has created for us. And it just continues to go. And I've said this before, where I mean, I was 10 when I saw A New Hope in the theater, and as long as they're going, or as much as they're doing right now, I'm going to have this until I'm my last days, which is
Yeah.
I'm super excited about. I get to watch Star Wars when I'm 80, and new stuff coming out, which
Yeah.
which will be fun. So yeah, I totally agree with you. The community here is the special part for me as well. It's just being able to talk to people and understand and be like, oh man, what'd you think about that? The Tales episode or Asajj Ventress, and you go, oh man, Asajj is awesome. People, oh, who's Asajj? What?
Yeah.
Like, and that's the funny thing. And I'm not knocking anybody for being a fan, but I love, people are like, oh man, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I was like, oh, what do you think of Clone Wars? Well, I don't watch the animation. I'm like, okay, we can still be friends, but you're
Yeah.
not a Star Wars fan. I mean, at least not like you're a what do you call it? Just a regular Star Wars fan. We're a little bit deeper into it, where we know, again, dates and names and different things like that. But it's fun to get on things like this where you and I can talk, and exactly what I'm talking about, and vice versa. When you talk about, cortosis or the helmet, I'm like, boom, I saw exactly in my mind. I knew exactly what you were talking about, which again, the community that comes on for us, and I know I'm sure for you as well, but for us for sure, is everybody's positive. Everybody has their own opinion on things, but because everybody has their own favorite character. Not everybody's favorite character is going to be Yoda or Anakin or whatever. But again, we can still all talk about it and have a good time talking about it, and think, Nick, he loves the headcanon. And I'm like, I had to get like someone to tell me like what is headcanon, and then they sort of explained it to me. I'm like, oh, okay, I get that now. But the lore stuff, and just again, the books and the image books that come out with all the deep dives into the ships or the planets and things like that. I love reading into that to see where that compartment on the Razor Crest was,
Yeah.
things like that, where we get to look into these books, and then the novels that come out and give you a little bit more into, Mara Jade or Thrawn or something like that. And I think that the community is it what ke- it, it's what keeps us coming back to continue to talk about Star Wars, the new stuff, the old stuff. And that's like I said before we even got on, we talk about one thing, and then you go from Clone Wars to Acolyte up to Kenobi, and then over to A New Hope and to the sequels and the so
Yep.
it's just all over. And the community behind us and we wouldn't be there without it. I mean, we could sit there and talk to ourselves, all the time, and just but for people to come in and watch podcasts like this and interviews, and it's just such a great thing that we're able to do.
Yeah, it really is. And that's the thing too, is it's just like what drives you to do it? When you get that new piece of news, like, it's 7 p.m. They just dropped on Twitter, like, Cal Kestis Jedi 3 is coming out. Now it's like, okay, now I got to decide when to talk about this, because, that's the whole point, is we get together, or if you do it solo, you're ready and you're anticipating how to deliver this news to like a sub crowd. So that's what's really cool, and it's fun because you have that purpose.
Yes.
But one thing that I always, ask other people that create is, it's like, we know so much about Star Wars. We stay up to date with everything, lore, theories, collections, different, little aspects of the fandom. And I don't know about you, but sometimes when I actually sit down and put on Disney Plus and either rewatch a series or just the movies on, like AMC over Thanksgiving had the original trilogy on. So, we click those on, or hanging out with the family, and it's just like sitting there watching, and I'm like, I love Star Wars. It's just like I'm watching this and taking it all in again. And it seems like every single time you watch, you are like reminded why you do this, what drives you. And like, it's just insane that George Lucas created movies, of course, but he created this, like, it's like it's like a pandemic, man, like, of just these fans. And there's different sides, love this, hate that, and that's okay. It just depends on how you run with it. But it's just, I never forget those times. And like maybe tonight, when I'm editing or just wrapping presents, I can turn on Disney Plus, and it's such an awesome thing that it's all at our fingertips now. I mean, I know you had VHS and then crossed into DVD, and I have some of the original DVDs up there, and it's just like I had to rewind the VHS, that way I could see Maul and Kenobi fight again.
Yeah.
Now I press one button and it's all on the screen, every single episode, every single movie. And I just watch these films and series, and I'm just like, dude, man, it just takes me back to what I was doing those exact moments. And it's yeah, man, it's a fun thing to do, making content. I kind of wish I would have started it a little bit sooner, because it's just like there's so many things that I wish I could have talked about, when Kenobi came out and stuff like that. The big series that came out when I first started was the Ahsoka series. So that was a great first one to go into, doing breakdowns for that. And so it's been fun, man. It's just that's my advice to a lot of creators, is like, just don't forget, that you're a Star Wars fan. Watch and enjoy and have fun.
Yeah. Well, and like you were saying with AMC or whatever it was on. I mean, as much as we have on Disney Plus, like you said, we can watch anything anytime we want on Disney Plus. But if I'm wandering around or flipping through the channels and TBS or TNT, like you said, for the weekend, Memorial Day or Thanksgiving or whatever, and it's on, I'm hitting it, and I'm leaving it on. I'll go do something during the commercials, but I'm there watching it, and and sometimes I pick up something, but it's just I don't do that with anything else. I won't, if there, if Iron Man's on or Avengers, and I like the Marvel stuff and the DC stuff and Harry Potter and things like that. But if Star Wars is on, I'm hitting
Every
play,
time.
and
Every
and
time.
just going through whether it's on TNT or TBS or AMC or whatever,
Yeah.
So, but no, and that's it. You have to be a fan to do this, because if we weren't, it would just be, oh, okay, let's just do a bunch of hate, and maybe we can get a whole bunch of people and pay us money and we can talk shit about it.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, that's not what we do. And everything, again, for me, everything that comes out, people are like, oh, I'm, like you said, oh, I'm a little over this or I'm a little over that. Now I'm super excited for next year. I'm super excited for Maul right now, just because that's the first thing that we're gonna get.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite characters as well. So hopefully we get 2 or 3 or 4 seasons of this. Then into Mandalorian and Grogu. Hopefully, right now there's a little bit of talk of Ahsoka might not be out next year, and I'm just like, what the hell? That's
Come
gonna
on.
suck. I'm like, you're already done filming it. It's probably just sitting on the shelf right now at this point, waiting to get dropped. And so I hope these rumors are wrong. I hope that we get all 3 of those next year, along with some of these new comics and books that are coming out. And then in 27 is going to be a huge year as well. I mean, that's the 50th anniversary. We got Star Wars Celebration. You got Starfighter. I'm sure there'll be a couple other things that'll be, coming out as well. So it's definitely a good time to be a Star Wars fan.
Oh yeah. Next 2 years alone, it's just insane, man. I'm super excited.
Yep. All right. So I'm going to do a couple rapid fire questions for you.
Let's do it.
And this one can be different. It's sort of interesting that you had the one answer, and I don't know if this will be your answer for that or not. But one character you could defend forever, no matter how bad the take.
Whew. Oh man. I'm a defend Obi-Wan Kenobi all day. That I hear the Anakins, the Lukes, the Kanan Jarruses being the best Jedi. If we're gonna talk the best Jedi, I'm defending Obi-Wan Kenobi all day, every day. I mean, he's defense, great. The forms he uses, it's perfect. A lot of people don't think that Obi-Wan's the best Jedi, but I'm in his corner and I'll die on that hill. Obi-Wan Kenobi, GOAT Jedi.
He's very underrated, I think. He's a badass. I mean, he's beat Maul twice, right? Twice, at least twice. Darth Vader, Darth Vader twice. I mean, he's a badass. That's a great answer. All right. Most overrated Star Wars character. No explanation allowed.
Ooh, no explanation. I'm gonna go Kanan Jarrus.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Lego or Funko? Which one would you keep?
I gotta go Lego.
Okay. Cool. There's probably a lot more money in that too, isn't there?
Yes, there is, and it's just the fact that I get to build it and display it. Funko, I buy it, keep in box, or certain ones I take out, display it, and it's just Lego.
All right. Best Star Wars era: prequels, original, post Disney.
I'm gonna go original.
Okay.
Original, because if I can get a quick explanation, because it leads right into the Mandoverse, and I think that little time there between little after Empire to what we get right now in the Mandoverse, and I'm not leaving out A New Hope because I love that movie, but it's just everything expanded lore that we know that's going on during these times. It's impeccable. I mean, I love the prequels. That's what I grew up with, but now as I'm older, I really only love Revenge of the Sith at a high level. So it's just like that movie, that time period, amazing. The end of the Clone Wars, love it. But I mean, there's just so much in this time at the like right at the end of the Empire and then like post Empire. So yeah. OT.
Yeah. Well, and that's what started it all. That's my explanation, even though that's what I grew up on as well. But that's where it all started. So I think it's a good way to put it. Even though we have Rogue One, which is like right before it, which was fantastic as well. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
I love the originals. But again, like we've talked about this whole hour, we love it all.
yeah.
It's hard to pick. Um, Lucasfilm calls tomorrow. Which would you pitch first? A show, a movie, or animated series?
It's a the hunt for Ben Solo. I love that. I really wish that like it gives me hope for another movie that can happen. But me personally, my my guy is Quinlan Voss. I feel like he's
Nice.
very underrated. It has to happen. I talk about him on the channel all the time, but it's because he's my favorite. Uh, so Quinlan Voss, a series where it's kind of like a two little timeline, get a little, a flashback to getting Dark Disciples novel shown because that was going to be a Clone Wars arc in Clone Wars season 7. Before Disney, and I think that little era would be amazing. You get a rogue, a kind of a rogue Jedi, and then a rogue Sith slash assassin, and they come from two completely different backgrounds, but at the same time, it's just a perfect. I think they could very well be the best romance in the entire Star Wars saga. So exploring that a little bit, seeing the tail end of it, Tales of the Underworld showed the very like last couple pages of Dark Disciple. So
Mhm.
getting that continued and post Tales of the Underworld, seeing Quinlan and Asajj running the hidden path, the one that Obi-Wan, took Leia down and the one he
Yeah.
went down, and getting the name drop in 2022. I don't think they could have easily left that out. What is the point of saying 3 words? Quinlan was here. What's the point of that? I think they really got to advance on that. So Disney, if we're talking, it's going to be the tales, maybe the hidden path, and we're going to explore a little bit of Dark Disciple, bring that to the stage, and then we're going to finish that story out. And the ending, I would love to have Quinlan Voss get caught finally. Maybe Asajj and Quinlan fight a lot of Inquisitors, but Vader bests Quinlan, ends up
Okay.
killing him. So I think that would be a crazy, crazy ending. And I think it would be, kind of well worth it. If Quinlan is to go out, he survived Order 66. He's able to, do the hidden path, the underground railroad of the galaxy far, far away, and go out to Vader. I think that would just be, like that meme, absolute cinema. I think that's what that would be.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and I think that would be a fantastic, it could be live action, it could be anything. Because I think there's so much story behind it that he is I mean, even though we only saw him in the Clone Wars, and I mean, we see him for a second in, you know, um, episode 1, but it's a little bit more, like you said, they talk about him, they drop his name, just like they drop Asajj's name. The first time we were all like, that was, when they first dropped Asajj, and I was like, what did they just say that? You know, which was cool. But yeah, I think that and that book, Dark Disciple, if anybody listening hasn't read that, you have to read that book. That's a must read book. I
Hmm.
thought they did a great job when they opened up with that for Tales of the Underworld, and Obi-Wan and Quinlan were taken. I was just like, I get goosebumps just thinking about it.
I got him,
It
man.
was, yeah, it was just such a cool thing, and I think it would be cool to see how that progressed at some point.
It'd be beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm praying.
So, 2 more quick ones. Favorite character of all time?
Obi-Wan Kenobi, and it fluctuates. I got Obi-Wan and then Boba Fett, and then sometimes I teeter. So today we're going
Okay.
with Obi-Wan.
All right. Um, Clone Wars, Rebels, Bad Batch. What's your favorite?
As a whole, I think I'm gonna have to go Bad Batch. I feel like there was like maybe 2 episodes I was like, oh, okay, this was filler. This was, cleaning out the waters a little bit. That as a whole, I'm gonna go Bad Batch.
Nice. That's awesome. I have not had anybody give me that answer before. And it's such a great series. I mean,
It
they're
is.
all I think they're all fantastic, but again, with that series, that gives a little bit more into Palpatine and why he returns. We have all this stuff going on in Bad Batch, and again, that's the normie fans. They're not really sure what's going on or what this has to do with, but people like you and I, when we're watching that and they're talking about shoot, I can't even think of the name of the project.
Necromancer.
Necromancer, yeah. You know, it's like, oh, okay, and that's why they want Omega, and then okay, now that's why they want Grogu. You know,
Isn't
so
it so weird?
it's all
It's
tying
crazy.
together. Yeah.
And it's awesome too. If you go back and watch The Rise of Skywalker, the first 10 minutes, you're like, so Grogu and Omega like are in this pipeline of why he returns. It's just insane. I mean, you know, hate it, love it. It's there. That's what it is. But it's like, wow, you know. And see, I love Rebels, but there's certain episodes where I'm like, I will rewatch that over and over and over. And there's a lot of there to me, in my opinion, there's a lot of episodes that are just huge misses, but I still love the series.
Right.
And same with the Clone Wars. You'll find me watching season 3 and 4 and 7 more than others. So it's just, and it's more so just little arcs in there. And that's kind of where I stand. But I mean, as a whole, I mean, the Bad Batch is amazing. You have 5 different POVs, and you know, one of them going rogue and seeing Cody again, Wolf, and it's there's so cool. Much. There's so much.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. You know, I was just so right now I'm sort of watching Rebels and Clone Wars at the same time. I've been doing a lot of traveling, so like when I'm up in the air, I got a bunch of stuff recorded, so you know I can't watch everything that's not so I'll watch Rebels and then Clone Wars I have on my phone. So it's like just watching those. But I saw Rebels the other day, and I think I talked about this on the last podcast, but it was the episode when they go and they meet up with Rex and Gregor, and they're and at the end, because Kanan's just like, no, F these guys. He's like, these guys, they killed my master. They're still clone troopers, and by the end, it's they talk about, what, it's great fighting beside a Jedi again, and they all look up and salute Kanan, and I was just like, oh, it just gives me
that's awesome stuff.
There's just so many little pieces like that in all 3 of those series, where you're just like, oh wow, that's amazing, and it brings you back to whatever movie you were watching when that happened. And that's what I love about the Clone Wars when it came out, because it brought us so much more information about it makes you understand Anakin even more, and some of the hardships that he had and the things that he was doing, and the different Jedi masters that he was going out with, and the more of the relationship that he had with Palpatine, and Padme, it just builds on all of that. And I think that's what all these things do, because you take Ahsoka from Clone Wars, and then you get to put her in, Rebels as well. And she's that much older, and it's a whole different, thing, so it's just a great thing what they've done. And then you get to the Bad Batch, and you're like, oh, okay, this is pretty cool. And they have all these things that they're doing, these assignments that they're going on, these people that they're running into, and some of the cameos that we see, it's just so cool. And then, like I said, you have a little bit more of that necromancer, thing. And I was like, oh, okay, this is what Palpatine was still working on. Because we're all, when those sequels came out, everybody was like, well, wait a minute, what? Palpatine dies and now he's back to life again. And there's no in between. And I think that definitely helped piece together a bunch of the stuff where, okay, Palpatine was still going and still doing things, like with Snoke and everything else that we see, where again, it's still tied into Mandalorian as well. Some of those things that, in the chambers that they see, so it's just great that they're able to tie everything in there, and we're able to talk about it like this for over an hour, just you and I,
Yeah, it's beautiful, man. I always try to remember, and it's hard to forget, but it's just like, I love Star Wars. That's what it comes down to. Yep. It's all good, and it's also fun. I mean, whether you're like-minded or not with whoever you're talking Star Wars with, it's just fun to, see everyone's, different POVs and like what they're into, what they're not into, and kind of always looking for those similarities, because I mean that's what you look for when you're conversating with another human being. You want
Yeah.
to see what they like and kind of go off of that. That's why I always find it weird when people just want to focus on the negative, because it's just like, that's not how you talk to people. You're not like, oh, you hate this, I hate that too. Now, mint chocolate chip ice cream is just terrible. Like, what are, like, wouldn't you rather talk about strawberry ice cream, your favorite?
Right.
I don't know. That's just me.
No, that's perfect. That's a perfect scenario. What you're talking about. Imaging is just, why are you gonna bash it? You know what? Then don't talk about it. Go talk about something that you enjoy. Why are you going to come on? And I don't know if you've had them yet. I've had a couple of the Germs get on. I had my first one. I ran up and told my wife, I got my first one. Somebody wrote "Star Wars sucks" on one of my messages. Just like, yeah, I got somebody that's out there. They're just getting on there just to say stupid shit.
Yeah.
But again, the community is so important to all of us, I think, as content creators and as positive content creators. And I'm not bashing any of them, because I think they all have good things somewhere inside, or some of those episodes are cool, or some cool information that they have, and different interviews and stuff like that. But again, the negative stuff, I just don't want to be a part of. There's not anything we're not getting anything out of that. So the positive stuff, and again, that's why I reached out to you, because I started seeing your stuff, and you weren't dissing on anything. Everything was always fun and happy, and you like this and like that, and the people commenting on your stuff are engaging, and you're engaging with them, and that's what we do here. It's just, I try to get back to everybody that I can, whether they give me a thumbs up, or, oh, that was a great video, or, oh, that, and some people even like, because I've had a couple of different things where I'm like, sort of like asking questions, or what do you think about this person playing this character? And some people are like, oh no, she would be terrible in that. Oh, okay, well, and I'll interact with them and say, well, why do you think that?
Right.
And to keep a conversation, and they might say, hey, because I think this actress would be better playing Asajj, or playing a young Padme, or whatever. So it's like, oh, okay, and that's the thing where I like to, again, the Quinlan Voss thing for you. I thought that was cool as hell. I would have never thought that. And even the Chimere thing, defending him. I think I agree with you, but again, you have your opinion on that, which is
Right.
a cool, unique opinion. And same with, me, or Nick, or Derek, or Mike. We all have our favorite characters. I don't think any of us have our top characters. I don't think any of us are the same.
And that's
Which is,
good. You want to
yeah,
find that.
exactly. And we always have, different opinions on, maybe who we think is going to be in this movie, or a cameo, or what did you think about this episode, or, stuff like that. And that's the thing, which is going to be interesting once we start getting these Maul episodes and the movie comes out, because now we're going to have to deep dive into those things and talk about, what do you think about that episode of Maul? Why and why not? Or what do you think's coming next? Because I think my thing is I think there's going to be something in Maul that will relate to, maybe not directly, but there'll be some hints into Mandalorian and Grogu, and same with Mandalorian and Grogu into Ahsoka season 2, which will probably be a little bit more obvious, I think, with Mandalorian and Grogu and Ahsoka, because it's sort of like the same, obviously it's the same Mandoverse. So, but I think there'll be some little things that will fill in, like we were talking about earlier. They're going to fill in some, blanks for the Maul series. Some of these questions that we have about Maul. And I think that they're going to probably have some sort of character or something that's going to go on that will have some, not a huge impact, but maybe impact a character or somebody like that. You and I will be like, oh, okay, that Maul episode was for, oh, okay, there's a little connection right there. Again, I'm mentioning Quinlan Voss in the Kenobi series.
Yeah.
Nobody that, unless you're a fan, a big fan, you don't know who Quinlan Voss is. That name meant nothing to you when they were. That's like, oh yeah, look at Bob Smith is on here. That's what it meant. That's what it meant to most people. But for you and I and Mike and Nick and Derek, everybody's like, oh my God, they just mentioned Quinlan Voss.
Yeah, it's like, what? Oh my God, I think of him all the time. Like, that's crazy. I do think the same thing with Maul, though. I'm really hoping that they just drop us a trailer on Christmas Day. That would just be awesome, because they always drop their random trailers. And I think it's going to be cool. I mean, connecting Maul to the Mandoverse. I mean, we're gonna see Marok, fighting Maul. He was in the. I mean, he was obviously brought back from the dead. So maybe does Maul kill him? Like, what happens there? Do we see Night Sisters and Morgan Elsbeth come together? Do we see Thrawn? Like, it's just, there's so many different things. I mean, because this is what, a year after Order 66.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, the timeline is absolutely tremendous. I mean, there's going to be so many cool things and different, crime syndicates, and seeing how he handles, everything after trying to recruit Ahsoka. Like, I mean, how is Ahsoka's name not mentioned in this series? Like, this is the time era we're talking about. So I'm excited for it, man. It's going to be really good.
Yeah, and I hope towards the end, depending on how they do the timeline, I'd love to see them, get to that part, and have Kira in there, to see her, show up. I think Dryden Voss will be in there, which will be cool. So I think we'll see a whole bunch of these different things play out, and again, just answering some of the questions that we have. I think there could be some flashbacks, especially for, when he did have his, his spider legs, or even some of his training with Palpatine. How freaking awesome would that be?
Just showing, like, oh, dude, maybe he's like training the Talon-like character, and he's like, my master showed me this in the dark side, and you see a young Maul with a young Palpatine. Even it's just like, oh, dude, that would hit. That would hit.
So good, so good. Yeah, I'm excited about this because they can do so much with it. Because we've seen in these little 12 or 15-minute, tales of the amount of information we get in these. Now we're going to have, I mean, I would say multiple seasons of this Maul series, or they're going to have to go into some of these things, because you're just going to have, there's so much story to tell with the underworld and Maul. It's just going to be, we'll be able to hopefully go for 3 or 4 seasons, and hopefully get, anywhere from 16 to 22 episodes a season, which would be fantastic.
That would be money.
Yeah. So, dude, thank you so much for being on here. It's such a pleasure to have you. I love what you're doing. I'm glad that you watch us and we watch you, and it's just it's a fun community. And for all of us to enjoy this, especially again around the holidays, where we, I'm sure we're all going to get some sort of Star Wars gift, in a couple days. Well, that's the hard part. My wife's like, she'll send me pictures. Do you have this? Yep. Do you have this? Yep. It's very hard, because for me, at least at this point in my life, if I see it and I like it, I'm going to buy it. So it's like,
yep.
So what I'll do sometimes is I'll buy something and be like, here, save this. Or there's this really cool piece at, Walmart, they got cool pieces at Walmart and Target. I buy stuff from there all the time, just stuff coming out. But it's hard sometimes to, I'm sure probably for you with Funko and for the Legos, it's like, oh, honey, I'm going to get you this X one. Oh, babe, I already got it. Oh, I got these 3 new Legos. They already came out. Yeah, I got them too.
Yep. I got all 3 of them, so damn.
Exactly. So thank you. Like I said, I'm definitely gonna reach out to you, everybody watching. We're gonna have Brandon on Star Wars Jedi Chat live some of these Wednesdays, so we'll definitely bring him out, and he can chat with us and talk about some of the lore and the theories, and just get into it. And it's like I said, it's been a pleasure having you on here. I'm so glad that you're a positive Star Wars fan as well, and we'll definitely have you on here again, and we'll do the live thing. And again, it's the holiday, so have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, sounds good. And once again, thank you. This was a blast, man. I mean, I absolutely been looking forward to it since you reached out. And yeah, dude, and you keep doing your thing. Absolutely, conversating with, this is our first time, so it kind of inspires me more to really go out and, do more stuff on my side. And of course, the collaborative side. This is awesome, man. I can't wait to talk more Star Wars.
Awesome. Well, we've had a great time. And we will see you guys on the next Star Wars Jedi Chat. May the Force be with you. Brandon, thank you so much.
Thank you, man. Have a good holiday.
All right, buddy. You too.